cool.
Hey, we're here for Data Fundamentals Unpacked. This episode is about the workforce, but we may be calling it Data Fundamentals Unpacked Missing Bill.
That's right. We don't know where Bill is. We assume he's okay, but
we think he's okay. We've been texting him. He had notification silenced, so I just really felt like that's a boundary I wasn't going to cross. Right.
That's a good boundary.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm not even sure if he's in the United States right now or not. Like he may be traveling too. So we're going to go with the show about workforce. And if he pops in, he pops in. That's great. And if he doesn't, well, we missed you, Bill. I'm Robin Hunt with Think Data Solutions, and I'm one part of the trio here for Data Fundamentals Unpacked. I'm excited to be with Jenny. Today, we're talking about something that's important to both of us, which is the workforce. So, Jenny, tell everybody about you.
I'm Jenny Von Quarter, and I work in a lot of different spaces, including places like SharePoint and Power BI. I think a lot of people know me best from that spot, but I've spent good-sized chunks of my time during my my work life doing workforce development. I was, I don't know if you'd say lucky, but I was blessed to live in Flint, Michigan during the time that General Motors was leaving and closed 12 out of 13 of their plants in Genesee County. They only kept the one that made Cadillacs and had won the Malcolm Baldrige Award. So it would have looked bad. It would look bad to close that one, right after won the award. But as people were then leaving these jobs, some of which were skilled, but many of which were unskilled, our job was to upskill people. And at that time, we were teaching people to be developers. So I spent a lot of time training people how to be developers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
My introduction to workforce. So I was in workforce development as a trainer, right? I was working for a national franchise. But at that point, I was only thinking about myself as a technical trainer. I wasn't thinking about myself as someone who's contributing to the workforce, right? So, but my introduction to real workforce development here was the banks started eating other banks and people started getting laid off. And then we had to figure out somebody funded something, and then I got to train a bunch of people who were in layoffs, and then I got introduced to workforce development from a state and federal government standpoint. I was in my late 20s when I was learning about that, and so I've literally known about it most of my professional career and knew the impact of we call it WIOA, but it's WIOA, the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act. I'm familiar with that, and that umbrella provides a lot of workforce education and training dollars. But also throughout my career, I saw that money get misused, misappropriated, and then for a lot of companies, they were fraudulent, and so they really don't exist anymore. And it changed the way the funds were distributed. And I witnessed that all on the sidelines. I wasn't an active participator in it. But Think Data has been an active participator in workforce development at that level for 3 years once we kicked off the apprenticeship. So we have that federally regulated apprenticeship. You guys hear us talk about that. So I think one thing, and Jenny, I believe you also have experienced this too, people just simply do not know about these funds, these monies, and they do not know how to go about obtaining them. And you're going to see on our socials, we're just encouraging people to go visit something called the Career Center. So I think maybe we kind of talk about the Career Centers. And in the state of Alabama, they're called Career Centers, but in places like Louisiana, they're called American Job Centers. So have you heard of the Career Centers?
Oh, yes, of course. In Michigan, the majority of them are tied to like community colleges in some way, because we have community colleges in almost every county. Probably just going to look it up and say, no, these counties are missing them. But most community colleges have a career center. And the cool thing about career centers is that they're focused on individuals. So there's two ways that the workforce monies work, right? One way is that the workforce monies are given to somebody who's training directly with an organization. And I've done some of that too. I've done a lot of that work too. But then there's workforce funds that are available to individuals who can then choose where they're going to use those funds.
That's correct.
Right? It's not like they get a check and they decide where it goes, but they make a partnership, right? They sign up for courses somewhere.
Yes.
But before that part even happens, part of what I like about career centers is that they're really focused on helping people get careers. So you go and you go, I don't know what I want to do. Or sometimes it's like, I know what I want to do and I'm not going to get paid to do that anymore. Right. Yes. I loved what I do, but that job doesn't exist.
Oh, that's
or
huge.
There's fewer of them. It's going to be hard for me to compete to get one.
Yes.
Given what I know, given what my skills are,
yes,
given sort of my personal aptitudes,
yes,
what should I look at next? What's the job that I might love? Or, if to be more real, what's the job that I can learn fast enough that I don't lose my house?
I mean, let's be real here. People need opportunities. And first of all, every career center, American Job Center, they're not all created equal, although they all do the equal things. Okay. Yeah. So you might land in one that maybe, has programs that it's dedicated to and knows everything about those programs. But then you hit a program like mine, which is tech and specifically data, you may not know how to navigate those channels. So us having relationships with those career centers allows us to teach them about the things that are everybody knows. I think data is a skilled trade, but when you go to visit a career center, you're faced with all the skilled trades. They're going to talk to you about, maybe you're going to be a steel worker. Maybe you're going to be HVAC. Maybe you're going to be a line worker, maybe a pipe fitter. And then here comes Robin Hunt, data analyst. You know what I'm saying? It's a skilled trade. It has, we can train. We have journey workers. I'm a journey worker. You're a journey worker. We walk people through their journey. You can't expect every company to have a proficient data education trainer sitting inside your group running an apprenticeship for a handful of roles when you are doing something different, right? So we're a little bit different than all those traditional apprenticeships and boot camps, but the career center sees them all.
Yes.
They're going to give you the access to all of the things. You can't just come to me and me tell you everything, right? But if you go there, they are equipped and their goal is to help people get into the right job. Something we talked about earlier, I think you may have mentioned a nephew.
Who was struggling with, he's a high school senior and he's struggling with what he's going to do. He doesn't think he wants to go to college. He's really unsure. So I take him to the career center at the local community college, and the great folks there, sat him down and had him do some tests and all kinds of things. But then they came back and said, there are things that you want to do, but your reading skills are going to prevent you from doing that. So let's address that. Let's do some remediation on your reading skills, because somehow you never really learned to read well. You're a high school senior, but you didn't learn. And that's what happens. Actually true. As a teacher, I will tell you that it happens that there's a time that reading is taught in school. It's called elementary school. And if you don't get it then, after that, it's like, boy, you're not good at this. But, so having a center that can assess things and provide remedial skills is really, really helpful. And again, it's a one-on-one approach.
Yeah, what you just said just triggered me so hard. Because I study early childhood and I'm very familiar with the reading statistics of our state. And, reading is a skill of the future. And so like any other skill, if you don't use it, you lose it. So yeah, I think, we need to be encouraging parents everywhere to lean into having their kids read even more than we maybe had them read before. And then we also need to understand there's populations of children who don't have access, and they need to learn how to read very early in their life. We can't wait until they're 7 or 8 years old to teach them reading. They need to be reading as quickly as we can get them reading. So I'm proud to work on those initiatives. To me, those are also workforce related initiatives. And so, yeah, if you have a population where reading or math skills are going to be low, then yeah, they're going to have those supports for those trainings that you do. In our state, they have a aptitude or an adult test that you take that gauges all of that, and it's completely free if you go in and if you qualify for all the things, and then they put you into this test. Again, some people are like, okay, I've got a degree. I obviously don't want to take this adult reading test. Like, I get it. But if it's going to give you access to education, just go take the test. Just go visit the Career Center, run through the process if it gives you access to education. I think it's interesting you mentioned that in your state, like you're connected to the community college and the degree systems. And so since we have an opportunity here and I'm with you, I do want to say sometimes people who are running non-degreed programs, because my program, our program at Think Data would be considered a non-degreed program. And so you hear a lot of competition talk between non-degreed programs and JUCOs, community colleges, degrees. And I'm like, we got too many people. We need every option. Yep. Community college, university systems are a way for people to access education. They are not a way for everyone to access education. So we need all of us working together in community to serve our communities. And like right now with artificial intelligence, I think we kind of need to get the competition out and just go, okay, some people are going to access their education going through the JUCOs. Some people are junior colleges. Some people are going to access education through degree programs that, like, I'll shout out one of my customers, Auburn University. Like, let's go. Like, if that's your thing and you have access to that, amazing. But guess what? We're serving Auburn University too, because we all have to be working together. Like, we can't catch up fast enough. So as I work on those, I get real passionate. But at the end of the day, if people are not walking into the career centers, they're leaving educational dollars sitting unspent. There's millions of dollars that have literally gone unspent because people don't know to go visit the career center. And we have over 60 in our state. I mean, you can hit a career center in almost every county.
And the interesting thing is that I know that there are some people who will hear what you just said and they'll say, oh, good, then it wasn't the government spending money they didn't need to. Nobody is sending you a refund of this money.
Yeah, you don't get it back.
You don't get it back.
Right. It rolls over.
Right. So even if it's a matter of you learning something that is beneficial for, your friend, your neighbor, one of your kids, so that they can learn about options that they have. I think that over a period of decades, really, the career centers were set up, right? It wasn't like something that existed, last week or last month. These are long-standing programs with deep ties into communities, with folks who know who's hiring, who has apprenticeships, and what's available and what it takes for you to be able to move forward. I was really surprised because I sat down and took that test, whenever I took it, and I get this list. I get this entire document back, right, that tells me about how my reading is, but it also tells me things like, you could go to school for X number of years and become this. But if you did, you'd probably have to move because those jobs are in the decline in Michigan. And
yes.
right there for me, right?
Yes.
And Sure, go to school for, because I'm often surprised by folks who spend a lot of money on education and then are surprised at what that gets them, right? Or what it doesn't get.
It's
And I've been
heartbreaking.
that person. I've been that person who got a degree that I never really used in a lot of ways, although it was good for me and I learned things,
Yeah.
But I don't think we have as much flexibility to do that now. And the other thing is that for many of the kinds of jobs that you and I work with and prepare people for, the whatever degree you might go get, if you get one, is just going to be your start because everything is moving so fast and changing so rapidly.
Oh, it is. Let me tell you, so like we love things to be very linear. Like you go to school, kindergarten, you graduate in the 12th grade, we love that linear path. But one of the greatest things that I've witnessed in, and I mean, oh my gosh, like over 300 something people through some form of boot camp. The people who come to me that then sort themselves out and then enter a degree program has been one of the most rewarding experiences because they knew what they were going to do. They knew where they were going to go get it, and they knew they wanted it. And that made that degree exponentially more valuable than, okay, cattle, let's herd you on into college.
Or even if you're going back to a community college, for example, even if you're going back to college because you need to learn a particular small set of skills.
Yeah.
And you don't need an entire degree, and they don't actually care that you don't need the entire degree. That's the thing, right?
That's right.
Community colleges are not focused on let's get you your degree necessarily. So I went back to my community college 4 times. Okay.
That's amazing.
Right. And the 4th time I went back was as an instructor.
Okay.
But I went back after my bachelor's degree. I went back to my community college and because my bachelor's was in economics, and I went back to my community college to take the first programming classes that I took.
That's awesome.
Right? So it's just like, why would I pay a boatload of money for something that's kind of, those courses weren't going to help me get another degree necessarily.
Yeah.
But I took systems analysis and design. I took COBOL.
Okay.
Why would you want to take COBOL? Well, Y2K came. I was happy. Right?
Yeah. Well, right now, if you're a COBOL programmer, like you're also making it because we still need you. And there's very few. It's a lot of people are not learning it. They're learning all the new stuff. To me, this is part of our problem, though. Like if you're in a community full of COBOL programmers and you're learning something new and the job you have to go to requires COBOL programming, it's really hard for you to be able to get a job in your modern stack if everybody's hiring COBOL. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is never going to stop happening. This is what tech looks like.
Well, and those programs, I became convinced during Y2K, during development for Y2K, that we will have COBOL programs as long as we have computers, because some of them are just going to cost still too much.
Yeah, people don't get that either, but it does cost a lot to change out like mainframe technologies, and like it's huge, and you can't screw it up.
That's right. And besides the fact it's not broken.
It's not broken.
It
isn't broken. Yeah. We need to have a whole episode on it's not broken, why fix it. But there are some systems that are broken. I was telling you earlier, like when we get to talking about community colleges and universities, again, to me, like we have to have these programs. Basically the entirety of the workforce is about to go through another rapid evolution of skills development. Not the first one I saw, but the most recent one was when we all shifted our technical skills like 60% overnight because of the pandemic. Okay. We've proven we can do it. We can do it again. Now we got to do it through this artificial intelligence wave. Well, for some people like me and you We have tons of access. We can go set up accounts. We can go touch an expert and ask questions. I can pick up my phone and call somebody and get answers.
Yep.
That is access. Not everybody has it.
That's right.
But you can get into a career center and they have got those great relationships with good partners. Not everybody's a good partner. Then you begin to have access that you never had before just because you got brave, became encouraged, got knowledge, got informed, and found your local career center, American Job Center, and just presented yourself at the door. When is the last time you just said, I'm going to be bold? This Robin Hunt chick keeps telling me like there's access to things. Go get it.
You know, the other thing I want to point out, and I could be totally wrong about this, okay? This is just my read about the time we're in right now.
Yeah.
Is there is so much churn in the labor force, okay? It's, you know, like a company that we're well associated with just laid off a boatload of people. We can't figure out why. I think, you know, can you blame the layoffs on one thing or not? It doesn't really matter. And at the same time, there are patterns showing up where there are, for example, a company will lay off 15% of their workforce and then post new jobs the next day, but they don't necessarily hire for them. They're acquiring resumes.
Yeah.
They're acquiring portfolios. People are writing about, you know, I was interviewed 14 times. And the last time the decision maker said, "Oh no, we're not interested." So it's like the workforce is being churned and turned over. And I'm not clear that companies really understand the costs of how they're treating potential workers right now either. This is a good time. If you can do it, this is a good time to use some of your time to try to get skilled up in different ways, rather than spending as much of that time trying to figure out how to get more resumes out.
I mean, okay, right. Choose your adventure. Okay.
Yeah.
Like if you have been playing this adventure game of trying to find work and every time you turn around, it's either no one's responding, or you're getting rejected, you're getting thrown out by some AI tool, whatever, like, can we just choose a different adventure? This adventure is non-tech. Go walk yourself into the career center. And I'm hopeful that when you get there, there's a person who's going to be like, here's all of your options, because they know all of them. So what makes it onto the list of options is, and again, we're talking about not organizational focused. There's a whole set of funds for that, but I'm talking about individual focus. So we didn't just land on the list. We didn't just sign up for the list. We've had to work for years to obtain access to being on the list. So skilled training providers have to run through a process to get qualified to be on that list. And so I'm not the only one that had to run through all of that and have to maintain the standards and have to prove that we're doing, again, early there was tons of fraud. Now it's like they're watching everything we do, which is great. So you're not just going into a program that doesn't have standards on the list. Like you have to be a qualified program to make it onto the list to get the funds.
And part of the qualification, if I remember right, is you have to be able to demonstrate that people who went through your program improved their chances of getting employment. Right?
Yes.
I mean, you know, so it's not like you spent, people come spend time and they learn something and it's like, well, somewhat, you know. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Who qualifies? I mean, in terms of the programs that people can apply for and they can learn about through a career center, who qualifies for individual funding?
Okay, so I'm going to keep the answer to this light because I do not know the metrics in every single state. Broadly speaking. Okay. If you are 17 to 24, you're designated as a critical population in some form. It may be called something different because we're trying to bring up our labor force of the future, and the 17 to 24-year-olds grow into 28 to 34-year-olds over time. So they have access to funds, and they just walk in and go through the process. If you are below some of the federal poverty lines, you have immediate access. If you are a veteran, a spouse of a veteran, a child of a veteran, a spouse, veteran, disabled, or child of a disabled veteran, all of the categories, you almost have immediate approval to these funds. So yeah, a lot.
That's a lot
of people. Yeah, so it's hard. It's hard for me not to get passionate about it, because it's just like, go to the career center, not because go to the career center and ask about data. We're like one of a handful in the country that you're going to really, like, when you come to our boot camps, you're seeing us across the page. Like, we're actually in real time, like this training. Okay. But I don't care. My son just got his first apprenticeship opportunity in the skilled trades. I don't care.
What's he doing?
He's going to work on industrial sweepers. I'm so geeked out.
Ooh.
Apparently, inside a manufacturing plant.
That's like robotics.
Yeah, it's all these industrial sweepers, and he's going to learn how to maintain them. And the significance of these are, if you don't get the dust off the plant floor, it's explosive.
That's right.
Right. So so I'm geeked out. Like, I really want people to be pursuing skills. I mean, it is my skills that have empowered me to make a living. It's not my name, my personality, although people love to think that. It is actual skill, implementing skills, improving skills, and keeping sharp, and then doing the work is what's allowed me to succeed. So I mean, if I'm me and I'm in your shoes, I'm going to a career center.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work out, great. At least I tried that. It's better than getting rejected. I haven't had anybody go through the career center yet that did not leave having a little bit more insight into what their opportunities were. And we've already received funding for handfuls that are going to get data education, because they just took the leap and walked into the career center.
So two things. One, I don't want to confuse anyone. You don't have to be in one of those groups to go to a career center. Okay. Those are the groups that have access to funding. So you should be if you're in those groups, you should be even more motivated, because there's potential money at the other end of this to help you get educated, to help you upskill.
Exactly. Sort of like, I tell people, like, who's a data analyst? Breathing. So if you're breathing,
yep, we're all data analysts.
You're a data analyst, but if you're breathing, you can go visit a career center. Some of you have, listening, you got kids, and your kids know they're like that kid that my son, and he's like this. He knows he wants a career, knows he wants a job, knows he wants to do that. Like, I would take your kid to the career center. Yep. Let them see, like, employers are involved with the career centers because we have to have these pipelines, right? We have to have pipelines to produce skilled and craft trade work. And yeah, I'm just excited to be a part of that. I think it's exceptionally important right now because we have a lot of people who are about to be subjected to mid-career change.
Yep.
Okay, and what I love about a mid-career changer is you got experience that enriches whatever you touch. And I don't care if it was a bad experience. You can turn it to enrich what you do next. Like, I've had some bad experiences that I turned around to make positive in my life.
You can always serve as a warning to others.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, mid-career change is hard, though. People are often, it's been my experience that when I deal with a mid-career changer, sometimes they're hurt. Their feelings are hurt.
Well, sure.
And they feel they've been made to feel less. And I don't
Mhm.
really care how they've been made to feel less, but they feel less. And so, yeah, it doesn't have to be that way though, because lots of people change careers. And I think what happens is people go, I don't know, I'm a Gen Xer. So it's like, oh, you do this, you're going to follow this linear path.
Yeah.
You're going to work for a company for eternity.
Right.
Not true. It's not true. It's not true. It was just
Not
never
anymore.
true for me. It was never true for me.
Right.
True. So I really love the idea that like just let it go and figure out how to shift that narrative to something more positive. I've just been, people are so fearful, like, what is this going to do for my job, artificial intelligence? And oh my gosh, and they hear all this stuff. It's like, yeah, again, it's fast and it's a lot, but there's still a ton of opportunity. You just have to change with it. You can't stay stagnant. So I know your feelings are hurt and I know you've been rejected. Okay. Well, you need to pick a new adventure.
Yeah.
Choose your adventure. Let's just go this route. Let's just run this route. Like, let's just run this route. What's one more pathway? I love giving people pathways.
And again, I think this whole conversation has been, there's help for this. There's help. Career centers are help. That will help you move and pivot, that mid-career pivot, or even, it doesn't have to be mid-career. It can be early career pivot. I think there are a lot of people who prepared themselves 5 years ago for jobs that are in decline today.
Oh,
it's not your fault.
Hurt my feelings. Yeah, no, it's not your fault. Yeah, this is one of the largest, and probably for me and maybe for you, this is going to be one of the largest workforce shifts we've ever seen.
Yep.
It's huge. So by the way, you may not think you're a mid-career changer. If you're working today, you're a mid-career changer, because artificial intelligence will change the way we do things at work. It may not eliminate your role. It may not change that, but it's going to shift the way we work.
It's going to change expectations about how much work people can do too.
Yes.
There's a whole piece of that. There's an entire other piece about the way the Internet of Things plays into all of this. Is suddenly, things that used to be monitoring jobs for human beings aren't going to be monitoring jobs for, they're going to be monitoring jobs for sensors that are, like this big, right?
Yeah. You know what that means?
Yeah.
More data
and more jobs that have to do with the better design of internet consuming devices, right?
Yes.
And data tracking devices.
Yes.
But those are like, some of those are really niche kind of things. Some of them are grand. 70% of the data that's collected by organizations is never analyzed at all.
Right.
And that's before we started collecting data with devices the way we do today.
Correct.
So probably it's closer to 80 or 90% now.
Yeah.
Of data, you might wonder, what does that mean? Well, what that means is we could know a lot more about how we do business and make better decisions if we spent just a little bit more effort in analyzing all of this data that we're collecting.
420% is the growth percentage for data professionals reported by CompTIA. 20% by 2030.
So in the next 4 years, we're going to need 4 times as many data analysts as we have now.
That's right. So looking at this screen, there's 8 of us. You see 2 of us, you need 8 of us. That's huge. But guess what? It was 300% before then.
That's right.
So it went from being 300%, which was ridiculous, and we've been saying it for years, to now 420%.
Right.
So now how we analyze data is different.
Yes.
But the people in the role, it's one of those bright star jobs. Like, you're going to go in there. But I will say this, not everybody needs to grow up and be a data professional. You might go pursue data and then figure out you're a security person, or you're a programmer, or I call them back-enders. You're a back-end developer. Okay.
Yep.
You might figure out you're a front-ender for development. You can sort yourself out. And then when you go sorted, you're going to take all these data skills with you.
But Robin, how many times have we heard the story? And of course, we're going to collect the story because we're data people. But how many times have we heard the story of somebody who was in a job and needed to be able to figure out how that job was working or why they were being asked to do tasks that seemed insane to them? I'm thinking of those call center stories that we heard both from Bill. Where is Bill, by the way? And our friend Oz, who often joins us. Both of them worked in call centers. Both of them had the same experience of here's all of this information. Surely it could give us some guidance. And there's nobody analyzing the data. So they became data people, simply trying to address the issues in their own workplace. And I think that is true for so many of us. Even if we never become data professionals, we become the person who knows how to run an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We become the person who knows how to create a data model that other people can use. And it's not that we intended to become data people when we started. Okay. It's that the workforce makes us become data people. And I'm not talking about something new today. This has been true for a long time.
Yeah. People were calling me a data professional. And I was like, don't you mean problem solver? I'm just solving your problem. I just happen to be using data to do it because it's faster. I can automate it. I can prove it. I can validate it. I can verify it. I can audit it. None of those things have changed. I think we still have to have all of those things. I do believe job titles have now been rendered completely meaningless.
Yep.
I've already don't like them. Now they're meaningless. I've always said resumes are meaningless to the organization on the receiving side, not meaningless to the human who poured over their resume, unless you cheated and did one with AI. But like even resumes now seem to be like what job titles, resumes, these are not going to be ways for you to vet and know talent. So again, having this ecosystem, and I think data is really like we're going all in on this. We're already in Alabama, South Carolina, and we're hoping we're going to be able to announce another state here. Like we're going for this. We want to help people gain access, but at the same time, like I'm not the only person on the list.
Right.
There's lots of opportunities on the list. My kid, if he went into the career center, he was not asking for data. He was asking for skilled trades. Guess what? We all get access to the same funds to fund our programs as individuals. So I want to just run that list one more time.
Okay.
17 to 24 years old. You're a special demographic because you are the future of our workforce. If you're a mom, father, cousin, aunt, uncle, you name it, get those 17 to 24-year-olds that are trying to figure it out to their career centers in their communities. If you are below the federal poverty line, and even not even completely below that, if you are underemployed, meaning you have a skill set and you can't get a job in it and you're flipping burgers, you're probably going to qualify for WIOA funding to get a career job. And then again, if you are a veteran, the spouse, child of a veteran, you have almost immediate access to these workforce funds, but you have to go into the career center to start the process. Just wanted to repeat that one more time. I just think that's so important. All right, let me say these little benefits to the organizations.
Okay.
Because this workforce episode is dedicated to the individuals. My hope is for the individuals to be able to confidently have another adventure to choose. But why does an organization care about this? Quality pipeline, hiring challenges because you don't know what to trust and every resume looks the same. You're going to turn to people you can look in the eye to vet your talent. I think that's super, super important. People who've gone to the career center, landed into programs, they have demonstrated more than I point and click and show up they had to physically move their way through this process. That alone tells me that's a motivated human right there. We keep waiting for perfect candidates to show up. Okay, what? Forget that noise. I'm not going to curse online, but
Okay.
like, this is the organization's trying to find the perfect candidate. You're avoiding people being hired for jobs. Look
Yep.
for the less than perfect candidate and let's employ people. And when you get ready to do that, partner up with your career centers to figure out what skills and what are they seeing, and have one more human being tell you, hey, I talked to this person, they're great. Or, oh, you know, they need a little bit more, or whatever we can do. The perfect candidate mentality, just dumb. There's no data in that works. Again, the talent pipelines.
I want you to say that again, because that's what's interesting. There's been a lot of studies done about how people are hired and methodology, but really it's true that you don't, by waiting for the perfect person, if that's your goal, the odds of you getting a better return on investment in your HR department are not good. Right?
Right.
And employment is a kind of partnership. That's the other thing is, you
Yes.
know, if you're not interested in, if your organization is not interested in or able to help invest in people that you hire, I would hope that smart folks would move on from you kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Right.
Because otherwise you're just a dead end. I remember there's like an old story about, you know, the Deming, who was the guy who did all of this study of continuous improvement. And he was talking with and he wasn't looked at well in the United States. There were actually statues to him in Japan in front of a couple of different automotive plants, because he talked about how you can, you know, how you can do improvement, how you can have something called quality. And this was not a message that Detroit, for example, wanted to hear in the 1970s.
Yeah.
So W. Edwards Deming is then brought back to the United States to do some lectures and that kind of thing. And he's meeting with a group of CEOs, and he asks the CEOs, how many of you have deadwood on your staff? And it's like, how many of you have deadwood in your organization? And their hands go up, and he says, so he said, did you kill them yourself, or were they that way when you hired them?
Right.
You know,
exactly.
What's your role in this? Right.
Both can be true in any given situation. Yeah. And you know, the cool thing about, you know, so can we add, so we got continuous improvement, we've got quality improvement. Can we also say consistent change? Like those, like things are going to have to consistently change to constantly have operational excellence and continuous improvement and high levels of quality. Like you don't get that and everything stays stagnant. I mean, I guess if you're going to produce this widget, this one little widget that goes on the bottom of something that nobody else is going to do, sure, maybe just keep doing your same thing. But for the rest of us, like it's going to be constantly changing. And sometimes I think when we think change, we don't think about that that's a continuous improvement. And that leads to like operational excellence.
Leads to something. I was just thinking when you said, if you do this widget that goes on the bottom of something, it's like, well, yeah, but what happens when the something that your widget goes onto isn't needed anymore? Doesn't exist.
And you're no longer, you better hope you got another widget you're making for the bottom of something else. Diversify your pipeline. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
We need an episode on diversifying your pipeline as an organization. That's the entrepreneurial DFU coming.
There we go.
Soon. Yeah.
Well, this has been a good conversation, I think.
I've enjoyed it. I'm super passionate about it. Again, I have kids growing into this workforce, and I have nieces and nephews, and I'm just like, let's go to the career center. Hey, I've leveraged these funds to build my team over the years. I'm actually practicing what I'm preaching here. These funds are available. They work. They help. It's hard for me not to get passionate about it. And we need to get the message out because the career centers need us to be telling people, hey, to get down to the career center to get access to these options. I appreciate you joining this journey with me. It's going to be fun. We're going to be teaching some in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think that's another thing that's exciting about our program. Like, I love being a part of our program, but again, bringing you and Bill into the program, having Serena Long join the program, have Oz come in, and knowing people who are trying to change their career or start their career are going to get direct hands-on exposure to you guys. That's my next favorite thing.
I was struck with the fact that over half of the folks in this cohort aren't looking for jobs. They're looking for skills for the jobs they have now.
I love that. They're called incumbents. That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's right.
They've got jobs, but they know that they want to hang on to them, and they need better skills to handle the challenges that are just arising naturally in the jobs that they have.
Yes. And their employers are supportive because they want to see these people move on to where they need to go and leverage those skill sets. So their employers allowing them to participate in these programs, very, very, very helpful. Whether they're going to be with that employer for the long haul or not remains to be seen. But everybody working in this ecosystem together is what we need right now to have a skilled workforce. It's going to make this change, which is going to be one of the largest shifts we've ever seen in workforce and workforce training. So I'm excited. All right. So final closing words from me are visit a career center. Jenny, closes out.
Close us out. I was just thinking when you were talking that one of the things that's at stake here really is, do these jobs stay in the United States? You know, I mean, that's why you wonder why there's government investment in it. That's why, because, you know, in a global economy, jobs can go anywhere. So if we want to be able to have good paying jobs here, as opposed to only let me say it differently, only service sector jobs here, right? This becomes more and more important.
More and more important.
Yep. So go get thee to a career center.
Get thee to a career center.
There you go.
I love that. Perfect.
Okay.
Closing. All right. We'll see you next time. We're missing you, Bill.
But next time we will have him here with us.
Next time we'll have Bill. All right. Okay. See you guys.